Imagine this. A trauma surgeon kneels at a mafia king's grave every Sunday morning, whispering apologies to a man she couldn't save. But one day, she's not alone. From the fog steps his son, cold, dangerous, and watching her like he already knows every secret she's ever tried to bury. And instead of exposing her, he warns her, protects her, and pulls her into a love so forbidden, it sparks a war in the criminal underworld. This is the story of how a single mistake, a single grave, and a single man changed her entire fate. Before we jump into the story, drop your flag or country in the chat. Let's see who's representing tonight. The sky was still dark when Dr. Elena Ward parked her old silver Toyota at the edge of Greenwood Cemetery. The clock on the dashboard glowed 5:42 a.m., and the air outside was cold enough to sting her lungs. She pulled her coat tighter around herself, grabbed the small bundle of fresh lilies from the passenger seat, and stepped out into the misty morning. Just like every week, the world felt quiet at this hour, like even the city chose to hold its breath. Elena walked the familiar path between rows of graves, past bronze angels and weathered stones. She had memorized every corner of this place. She could have walked blindfolded straight to Victor Hale's grave. Victor Hale. Her patient. Her failure. Her ghost. She found the headstone under a cluster of bare oak trees. The stone was polished black marble, simple but expensive. His name was carved in strong letters. Victor Hale. Beloved father. 1958 to 2023. The guilt punched her all over again. I'm sorry, she whispered, kneeling down. Her knees sank into the damp grass. I'm still sorry. She cleaned the headstone slowly, wiping away dirt, fallen leaves, anything that looked out of place. It was a ritual now. Her way of carrying the weight she couldn't put down. I wish I could go back to that night, she said quietly. I wish I had done more. I wish. Her throat tightened. She placed the fresh lilies at the base of the stone. The fog rolled in thicker around her. Drops of mist clung to her eyelashes. And then, out of nowhere, she felt it. Presence. Someone watching her. Her heartbeat jumped. She looked over her shoulder slowly. A tall figure stood halfway between the trees. Still, silent, almost part of the shadows themselves. He wore a long black coat and carried himself with a kind of confidence that came from power, or danger. He didn't move. He didn't speak. He just watched. Elena's breath caught. Hello, she called out, trying to keep her voice steady. No answer. For a second, she thought she was imagining it. The exhaustion, the guilt, the early morning fog. But then the figure stepped forward. Her stomach dropped. A man emerged from the shadows. His steps slow and deliberate. He had dark hair, sharp features, and eyes so cold and intense they felt like a physical touch. She recognized him instantly. Aiden Hale, Victor's son. The new head of the Hale crime syndicate. He stopped 2 feet away from her, close enough that she could smell the faint scent of rain on his coat. His voice was low, calm, but impossible to ignore. You come here early, he said. Earlier than most. Elena's hands trembled slightly, but she hid them behind her coat. I didn't expect anyone else to be here. I know, he said. His eyes dropped to the lilies she'd placed. You've been coming for a while. Her breath hitched. How would you know that? He tilted his head, studying her expression like he was trying to read every secret she had ever kept. I've seen you, he said. Every Sunday. Same time. Same flowers. Elena's heartbeat sped up. She suddenly felt exposed, like someone had turned on a spotlight. You've been watching me. His jaw flexed. Watching? Well, not at first. His gaze returned to the grave. I came here to visit my father. And I kept seeing you. Elena swallowed hard. There was something unsettling about being observed by a man like Aiden Hale, someone whispered about in police stations and back alleys. I didn't mean any disrespect, she said quickly. I come here because Aiden cut her off softly. Because you feel guilty. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. He knelt beside her, not touching her, just close enough that she could feel the warmth of his presence. "My father's death was not your fault," he said quietly. Her eyes filled with tears. "You don't know that." His gaze locked onto hers. "I do." He stood again, tall and intimidating, but his voice remained surprisingly calm. "You should go home. It's cold. You'll get sick." He turned to leave. Just like that. No demand for explanations. No threats. No anger. He walked back into the fog, his footsteps fading with each step. Elena stayed frozen on her knees, staring at the path he disappeared into, her heart racing. He didn't even ask my name. He didn't need to. He already knew. 2 days passed. Elena tried to pretend that the encounter hadn't shaken her, but the truth followed her everywhere. Through the hospital hallways, into surgeries, into her dreams. Every time she blinked, she saw Aiden Hale's eyes. Dark. Knowing. Too observant. On Wednesday evening, she left the hospital after a long 12-hour shift. The sun was low, casting orange light over the parking lot. She walked toward her car with tired steps and a head full of thoughts she couldn't escape. She unlocked her door. And froze. A black SUV was parked directly beside her old Toyota. Sleek, tinted windows, expensive. Too expensive for this neighborhood. Too familiar. Her chest tightened. "No," she whispered to herself. "Not again." Before she could move, the driver's door opened. Aiden Hale stepped out. Her breath left her in a sudden gasp. He wore the same black coat. Same quiet power. Same unreadable expression. "Dr. Ward," he said, as if they had bumped into each other at a grocery store and not in a cemetery at dawn. "How do you know my name?" Elena asked, her voice barely steady. One corner of his mouth lifted in the smallest hint of something. Not quite a smile. More like the suggestion of one. "I make it my business to know things," he said simply. She didn't like the sound of that. "What do you want?" she asked. Aiden took a step forward. Not threatening but firm. Like he didn't know how to move without confidence. "We need to talk," he said. "I don't think. It's important, Elena." She stiffened when he said her first name. He noticed. "You're wondering how I know that too," he said. "You forget my world. My father's world." His gaze sharpened. "Information is power. And power is survival." Elena swallowed hard. "What do you want to talk about?" "You," he said. "And why you keep visiting my father's grave." Her hands clenched at her sides. "I already told you. I feel guilty. And you should stop coming," he cut in. Her shock made her blink. "Stop. Why?" Aiden looked around the parking lot before answering, as if checking for ears that shouldn't hear. "My world has eyes," he said softly. "And people are asking questions." Elena's heart thudded. Questions like what? Like why a surgeon is visiting Victor Hale's grave every week. His voice dropped lower, more serious. "Some think you're connected to me. Some think you knew my father personally. Others think you're digging into our business." "That's not true," she protested instantly. "I know." He held her gaze. "But they don't." Cold realization hit her. "You're saying I'm in danger." He nodded once. "If certain people decide you're a threat, they won't ask questions first." Elena's stomach twisted with fear. "So what do I do?" "Nothing," he said. "Just stop going. At least for now." She didn't respond. Aiden stepped closer, lowering his voice until it was almost a whisper. "I don't want anything to happen to you." Her breath caught. "You don't even know me," she said quietly. He paused. "I know enough," he replied. They stared at each other for a long moment. Elena felt something shift, something subtle and dangerous. Something like gravity pulling her toward him, even though she knew she shouldn't move closer. Aiden took a small step back, giving her space again. "Go home," he said. "Rest. And stay away from the cemetery for a while." He turned to leave but hesitated. His hand reached into his coat pocket, and he pulled out a small black card. matte, unmarked except for a single phone number printed in silver. He held it out. Elena didn't move to take it. "What is that?" she asked. "My number," he said. "In case you need help." "I don't." "Take it." His voice was soft, but there was no arguing with it. Elena slowly reached out and took the card. The moment her fingers touched it, she felt something strange. Like accepting the card meant stepping onto a path she couldn't step back from. "I hope you never need to call," he said. "Why would I?" His eyes darkened slightly. "Because your world," he said, "and mine, they are starting to overlap." He stepped away, opened the SUV door, and paused just long enough to speak one last line. "Be careful, Elena. Please." Then he drove off, leaving her standing beside her small car, holding a black card that suddenly felt far too heavy. Elena leaned against her door, her mind spinning. He was dangerous. He was intense. He was trouble. And yet, he had warned her, protected her, watched her long before he ever spoke to her. Her fingers tightened around the card. Something told her she would need it sooner than she wanted to believe. The next few days passed in a blur. Elena tried to bury herself in work, in patience, in anything that wasn't connected to Aiden Hale or his shadowed world. But the memory of his voice, his warning, and especially the card he gave her stayed lodged in her mind like a shard of glass. She kept the card hidden in her wallet. She told herself she would never use it. But life had other plans. It was a quiet Friday night when Elena got the call, the kind of call that sends fear straight into your lungs. Her phone buzzed while she was preparing a cup of tea in her apartment kitchen. The caller ID made her blink. Maya. Her little sister. "Maya. What's wrong?" Elena answered immediately. Maya's voice cracked. "Elena, I messed up." "Oh God, I messed up so bad." "What happened?" Elena asked, heart pounding. I borrowed money," Maya whispered. "From some guys. I thought I could pay them back with my online business, but it fell apart and now they're saying I owe them more than what I borrowed." Elena pressed a hand to her forehead. "How much?" Maya hesitated. 25,000. The cup Elena held slipped from her fingers and shattered on the floor. "Maya, how could you borrow that much money?" "I didn't mean to. They said I'd only owe 10, and then they started adding interest and fees and, Elena, they came to my apartment today. They threatened to break my legs if I don't pay by tonight." Elena's stomach twisted into a knot. "Where are you?" "In the alley behind my complex," Maya said. "I ran out when they started banging on my door. They're looking for me, Elena. I'm so scared." "Stay where you are," Elena said firmly. "I'm coming right now." She hung up, grabbed her keys, and sprinted out of the apartment. The drive felt endless, every red light a personal attack. Elena's mind raced. She didn't have that kind of money. She didn't know anyone who did. Well, that wasn't true. Her heart dropped as she remembered the card in her wallet. Well, no, she couldn't involve him. Not for this. Not for something so personal. Not for something so dangerous. But when she reached Maya's complex, when she saw her sister crouched in the alley, trembling, hugging herself tightly, Elena realized she didn't have a choice. "Hey!" Elena whispered, kneeling beside her. "I'm here." Maya clung to her, shaking. "They're going to hurt me, Elena. They said they'd come back." Elena helped Maya stand. "You're safe now." But as they turned the corner, 4 rough-looking men were already approaching, their footsteps echoing heavy and slow. "There she is," one of them said. "Little runner." Maya froze. "No," Elena said sharply, stepping in front of her. "She's done running. You talk to me." The man looked Elena over from head to toe. Cold eyes, ugly smirk. "Oh, you're the sister." He cracked his knuckles. "That means you can pay." "I don't have that kind of money," Elena said. "Then you shouldn't have borrowed it," another man said. "We ain't a bank. Payments due tonight." One of them stepped forward, grabbing Elena's arm roughly. Maya screamed. Elena tried to pull away. "Let go of me." "Relax," the man said. We just want what we're owed. Elena's body shook with fear, and instinctively, her hand went to her coat pocket, searching for her phone. Her fingers closed around something else. Black card. Her pulse hammered. She had no idea if calling him would actually help. She had no idea if this would make things worse. But she knew one thing. Maya was in danger. And there was only one person who could fix this in minutes. She dialed the number. A ring. Another. And then, Dr. Ward. The voice sent a shiver down her spine. Aiden, she breathed. I need help. There was no hesitation. Where are you? Elena gave the address quickly, stumbling over her words. Aiden listened silently. When she finished, he said only one thing. Don't move. The line went dead. The men didn't notice the call. They were too busy surrounding the sisters, speaking in low, ugly threats. You got 1 minute to give us something, the leader growled. Cash. Jewelry. Something. Elena swallowed, her heart racing. Please just give us time. No more time. The man lifted his hand. Elena wasn't sure if he meant to grab her again or hit her, but he never got the chance. Because suddenly, the alley lit up with headlights. A sleek black car pulled up fast, the engine humming with expensive power. The doors opened. 3 men in black stepped out, tall, silent, deadly looking. One of them spoke calmly. Stand down. The gang members stiffened. And then Aiden stepped out. He didn't run. He didn't shout. He didn't look the slightest bit rushed. He walked toward Elena with slow, controlled steps, as if the entire world belonged to him. His eyes found hers immediately. Are you hurt? He asked, voice low. No, she whispered, breathless. But my sister. His jaw tightened. I'll handle it. He turned to the gang, and the temperature in the alley seemed to drop 10 degrees. Which one of you touched her? Silence. Aiden stepped closer. I asked a question. The leader swallowed hard. We didn't know she was connected to me. Aiden finished for him. His voice was quiet. Too quiet. The man nodded slowly. Then let me make it clear. Aiden's eyes turned cold. You do not go near her again. You do not go near her sister. You do not go near anyone with their last name. But the money is gone, Aiden said. Erased. The men exchanged nervous glances. She still owes. She owes nothing, Aiden said, stepping forward, his presence radiating danger. And if any of you ever threaten her again, I will collect far more than money. The men backed away. And then they ran. When they disappeared, Aiden finally turned back to Elena. She felt her breath catch again. You came, she whispered. You called, he said simply. I don't ignore you. His eyes softened just slightly. Let's get your sister home. Maya cried in Elena's arms the whole ride to her apartment. Aiden insisted on escorting them. His men followed behind in another car, silent shadows in the night. When Maya was finally settled and safe inside, Aiden lingered near Elena's car. You shouldn't have had to deal with that alone, he said. I didn't know who else to call, Elena admitted quietly. That's why I gave you my number. She looked at him, really looked at him. The strong lines of his face, the composure he never seemed to lose, the strange warmth beneath all the cold edges. Why help me? She asked softly. Why go this far? Aiden didn't answer at first. He studied her, his gaze steady and unreadable. Finally he said, because I want to. Elena swallowed, unsure how to respond. Then Aiden's expression shifted slightly. Something calmer, something almost gentle. Come to dinner with me, he said. Her eyes widened. Dinner. Now. Not tonight, he said. But soon. Elena shook her head. I don't think that's a good idea. I didn't ask if it was a good idea. His voice softened. I asked if you would come. Elena looked down at her hands. Aiden, your world is dangerous. He stepped closer, voice dropping low. So is yours. Her breath hitched. Mine. You think I don't know what you carry, he said. The pressure, the sleepless nights, the patience you save, the ones you can't. His eyes darkened. You fight death every day. And you think my world is too dangerous. She stared at him, stunned. He was too close, too intense, too honest. I'm not like you, she whispered. Good, he said. I don't want someone like me. Elena looked away, overwhelmed. Aiden sighed softly. Not impatient but thoughtful. You need a break, he said. One evening. One meal. Nothing more. She hesitated. But then she thought of how he came for her. How quickly. How fiercely. How efficiently he protected her sister. And something inside her softened. Okay, she said quietly. He raised an eyebrow. Okay. Yes, she repeated. One dinner. Aiden nodded once, satisfied. I'll send a car for you. Send a Aiden. No, she said quickly. I can drive myself. His lips lifted slightly. Of course you can. But I'm sending a car anyway. Elena shook her head, but she didn't argue further. 2 nights later the car arrived. Elena wore a simple black dress, elegant but not loud, modest but flattering. She told herself she didn't care what Aiden thought, but her reflection said otherwise. The driver escorted her to a discreet underground restaurant, one she'd never heard of, one that didn't seem open to the public. Aiden stood waiting near a private table, dressed in a dark suit that made his presence even more commanding. When she approached, he stood. You look beautiful, he said. Elena felt heat rise to her cheeks. Thank you. They sat. The lighting was soft. The air smelled like spices and warm bread. Gentle music played from hidden speakers. Aiden poured her water, then asked quietly, How is your sister? She's shaken, Elena said. But safe. Good. They ordered food. She chose grilled salmon, he chose steak. Everything felt oddly normal until she looked around and saw men in suits sitting strategically in corners. Are those your guards? She asked. Yes. Why are they everywhere? Because you're here, Aiden said simply. Her heart skipped. He leaned forward slightly. Tell me something, Elena. Why did you become a doctor? She blinked, surprised by the question. My mother died when I was younger. Heart complications. I felt helpless watching her go. So I chose a path where I could stop someone else from feeling that way. Aiden's eyes softened. That's admirable. What about you? She asked. Why did you step into your father's position? Aiden's jaw tightened. Because someone had to. And I was the last one left. Silence fell between them, not uncomfortable but heavy with things unspoken. Then Aiden changed the topic. You carry a lot on your shoulders, he said. More than most people realize. So do you, she replied. His gaze lingered on her. Maybe that's why I like talking to you. Elena's breath caught. Aiden. Yes. You scare me sometimes. He nodded slowly. I know. But you also make me feel safe. Something flickered in his eyes. Something dangerous, something warm. He reached across the table and gently took her hand. You are safe with me, he said softly. Always. Elena's heart pounded. And even though she knew this was wrong, even though she knew lines were blurring, even though she knew her world and his should never mix, she didn't pull her hand away. Not this time. The week after the dinner with Aiden felt strangely calm, almost dreamlike. Elena kept telling herself not to read too deeply into anything. Not his attention, not his protectiveness, not the way his hand felt when he held hers across the table. She tried to go back to normal life. But normal didn't last long. It was nearing midnight on a Tuesday when Elena was finishing up charting in the hospital. The halls were quiet, the lights dim. She stretched her aching back and rubbed her tired eyes, knowing she should have gone home hours ago. Then her phone buzzed. A number she didn't know. But she knew who it was. She answered. Aiden. His voice came through low and tense, tighter than she'd ever heard it. Elena. I need you. Those 4 words made her heartbeat stumble. What happened? She asked, already grabbing her coat. Luca's been shot. Your cousin, she breathed. She'd heard the name before. One of Aiden's most trusted men. Yes. His tone sharpened. He can't go to a hospital. Elena's steps faltered. You need me to. Save him, Aiden said. You're the only one I trust. A rush of adrenaline swept through her. Send me the address. He did. And she realized it wasn't far from the hospital, a warehouse district by the docks. Elena, Aiden said before hanging up. Come fast. On my way. She ran to her car, breath sharp, heart pounding as she drove through empty streets. Every second felt heavier than the last. When she reached the location, Aiden's men appeared immediately, guiding her inside a dim, abandoned-looking warehouse. The smell of metal, blood, and gunpowder filled the air. Aiden stood near a table that had been turned into an emergency operating platform. His shirt sleeves were rolled up, blood staining his hands and arms. It was the first time she'd seen him looking human. Distraught, uncontrolled. Luca lay on the table, pale, groaning, a bullet wound bleeding through a makeshift bandage. Elena rushed over. Let me see. Aiden stepped back just enough to give her space but stayed close, eyes fixed on her face as if she were the only thing keeping his world from collapsing. She peeled back the bandage. The bullet is deep, but it didn't hit an artery. He's lucky. Aiden's jaw tightened. Can you get it out? Elena swallowed. I can try, but I need better light and proper tools. We have what we have, Aiden said. Tell me what you need. She gave instructions, and his men scrambled to gather supplies. Alcohol, towels, a flashlight, a thin metal clamp, a pair of sterilized tweezers, and a tray. Elena scrubbed her hands with alcohol and tied her hair back. Hold the light steady, she told Aiden. He did. His hands never shook, even though his cousin's life was in danger. Luca groaned again. Aiden, don't let me die. You're not dying, Aiden said sharply. Elena worked fast but carefully. There was no anesthesia. Luca screamed when she probed the wound, his hands flailing. Aiden held him down firmly. Luca, breathe. I'm trying. Luca yelled through clenched teeth. Elena's voice stayed calm. Luca, listen to me. I'm removing the bullet. Once I get it out, you'll feel better. But you need to stay still, okay? He nodded, sweat dripping down his face. After what felt like forever, the metal clamp clicked against something solid. I have it, Elena whispered. Aiden leaned in, watching intensely. She extracted the bullet and dropped it into a metal tray. The sound echoed like a gunshot itself. Aiden exhaled like he'd been holding his breath the entire time. Elena cleaned the wound, stitched it closed with steady hands, and wrapped it tightly. When she finished, she stepped back. He'll live, she said softly. Aiden closed his eyes briefly, relief washing over him like a storm breaking. Elena. She looked up. He stepped closer. And for the first time, Aiden Hale, the man who commanded fear in entire cities, looked vulnerable. You saved him, he said quietly. You saved my family. Elena's heartbeat fluttered. It's what I do. He reached out and touched her cheek gently like she was something fragile. You don't understand, he said. I owe you more than you know. She felt heat rush to her face. Aiden. His thumb brushed her skin slowly. You came for me, he whispered. And you came for me when I needed you, she replied, her voice small, honest. For a moment the world fell away. The dim warehouse, the blood, the danger, it all disappeared. Aiden leaned closer. Elena, he said, his breath warm on her lips. I can't pretend anymore. Then he kissed her. Soft, slow, desperate. A kiss filled with gratitude, fear, hunger, and everything he'd been holding back. Elena drowned in it, in him, in the moment she swore she would avoid, but couldn't. 'Cause she wanted this too. When they broke apart, she was breathless. We shouldn't, she whispered. I know, he said. But I want to. She didn't answer. Because her heart already had. Luca recovered slowly under Elena's care. She visited the safe house 3 times that week, checking his vitals, changing dressings, monitoring his fever. Each time she arrived, Aiden's men greeted her respectfully, almost fearfully, as if she had transformed into someone more important than they expected. And each time Aiden was waiting. He didn't hover, but he stayed close. He didn't push, but he watched. Not with suspicion, with something far more dangerous. Interest, attachment. And Elena felt it too. She knew she shouldn't. She knew his world was made of violence, blood, and enemies in every shadow. But every time she saw him, every time he spoke her name, she felt something she hadn't felt in years. Wanted. Protected. One evening after Luca's fever broke, Elena prepared to leave the warehouse. Aiden walked her to her car, the night air thick with a tension she could no longer ignore. "You shouldn't be here," he said softly. Elena frowned. "You asked me to come." "That's the problem," he said. "I shouldn't ask. I'm dragging you into something you shouldn't be part of." Her brows furrowed. "Aiden, I help people. That's all I'm doing." "No," he said. "You're helping me." Silence stretched between them. "Aiden," she whispered, "I'm not scared of you." He stared at her, eyes dark. "You should be." But she stepped closer instead of backing away. "I trust you," she said. His breath caught just barely. Then the moment shattered. A loud pop echoed in the distance. A gunshot. Aiden's body immediately reacted. He grabbed her waist, spinning her behind him. His men appearing out of nowhere. "We need to go," one of them said urgently. "Now." "What's happening?" Elena asked, heart-pounding. Aiden didn't answer. He pushed her toward the car. "Get inside." "No, tell me." "Elena, get inside." His tone left no room for argument. She climbed in as his men formed a shield around the vehicle. Aiden leaned down to the window. His expression was fierce, controlled, deadly. "There's a war starting," he said. "And someone just made the first move." Her breath hitched. "Because of Luca." "Because of me," he said. "Luca was just a warning." Her heart dropped. "Aiden." "Elena," he said, voice low. "They know about you." Her blood turned to ice. "What do you mean?" "We're being watched," he said. "Someone's been following you. They think you're important to me." The fear hit her like a physical blow. "Aiden, am I in danger?" He exhaled shakily. Perhaps the first time she'd ever seen him unsure. "Yes." Her stomach twisted. "What do we do?" Aiden gripped the car door. "I protect you," he said simply. "From this moment on." Her chest tightened. "Aiden, I can't let you." "You don't have a choice," he said, eyes burning with intensity. "I won't lose you." She stared at him, breath trembling. "This is my world," he said, voice low but powerful. "And now that you're in it, I will not let anyone touch you. Ever." Elena felt something rise in her chest. Fear, yes, but also something else. Something she didn't expect. "50. Aiden continued. "You will stay away from dark streets. No late-night shifts. No walking alone. I'll assign men to watch over you." "I don't want bodyguards," she said. "I don't care," he replied. "You're getting them." She wanted to argue, but she also knew he was right. This wasn't the time to be stubborn. "Just be careful," she whispered. He leaned closer, eyes fixed on hers. "I will. But promise me you'll listen to everything I tell you." He wasn't asking. He was pleading. "I promise," she said. He stepped back, signaling his men. "Take her home," he said. Elena watched him through the window as the car pulled away. His expression a storm of rage and protectiveness. And she knew, as the distance grew between them, nothing would ever be the same again. Because the war had begun. And she was at the center of it. The following days felt like walking a tightrope between two worlds. The hospital during daylight. Aiden's shadowed world at night. And Elena caught in the middle. After the warehouse incident and the near ambush, Aiden assigned 2 men, Marcus and Theo, to watch her. They followed her discreetly, staying in cars parked outside the hospital, lingering near the elevators, standing quietly in corners during her night shifts. Elena hated it, but she also understood why it was necessary. Still, the tension followed her everywhere. One morning, as she was heading into the hospital after barely sleeping, Marcus approached with quick steps. "Dr. Ward," he said, voice low but firm. "A man was watching your building last night." Elena's heart froze. "Who?" "We don't know," he said. "But he wasn't one of ours." Elena swallowed hard. "What did he do?" "Just stood there," Marcus replied. "Watching your window. But when we approached, he disappeared." She hugged her coat tighter around herself. "Did Aiden?" "He knows," Marcus said. "He's handling it." Handling it. A phrase she was learning meant violence. She walked inside the hospital trying to shake the fear, but it stuck with her like a shadow she couldn't peel away. Later that afternoon, Elena was called into the administrator's office. When she entered, Dr. Richards, the chief of surgery, was sitting stiffly behind his desk. He didn't smile. "Elena," he said, folding his hands. "Please sit." She sat slowly, already sensing trouble. Dr. Richards cleared his throat. "We've received a report about missing medical supplies. Items from the emergency stockroom. Sutures, sterile gloves, alcohol wipes, scalpels." Elena went still. She knew exactly when those supplies went missing. Luca's surgery. Her illegal back alley operation. "Do you know anything about this?" Dr. Richards asked. Elena forced her breathing to stay even. I sometimes use extra supplies during overnight emergencies. Maybe something wasn't logged." He shook his head sharply. "These weren't logged under any case. And we found check-in records showing you were present the night the items disappeared." Her heart thudded painfully. "We're not accusing you of anything yet," Dr. Richards continued. "But Elena, this is serious. We have to report the discrepancy. There may be a formal investigation." Elena felt her stomach twist. "Dr. Richards, I would never steal." "I hope not," he said. "But please be prepared. You may be asked to explain how those supplies vanished on your shift." She left the office with trembling hands. Her entire career, the life she built, the life she sacrificed everything for, now hung by a thread. And it was all because she saved Aiden's cousin. That night she drove straight to the warehouse. Aiden was pacing when she walked in, arguing with one of his men in a tone low and lethal. He turned the second he saw her. "Elena!" His expression softened, then sharpened again when he saw her face. "What happened?" She didn't even try to hide the shake in her hands. "I think I'm in trouble," she whispered. Aiden crossed the space between them in 2 fast steps. "Sit," he said. "Tell me." She sat on a makeshift bench while he knelt in front of her, his hands gently cupping her face. "What happened?" he repeated. Elena's voice cracked. "There's an investigation at the hospital. They know I was there the night the supplies went missing." Aiden's jaw clenched. "Those supplies saved Luca's life." "It doesn't matter," she said miserably. "I could lose my license, my career, everything." He went silent. For the first time, Aiden looked guilty. "Elena, I shouldn't have asked you to help." "You didn't force me," she said. "I chose to." "But I let you walk into my world," he said, standing, pacing, fists clenched. "I dragged you into this." She stood too, stepping in front of him. "Aiden," she whispered. "You didn't drag me. I stepped in, because I wanted to help." He stopped, staring at her. Her honesty seemed to shake him. Then he pulled her into his arms. Not a hungry or desperate embrace, but a fierce, protective one. His hand cradled the back of her head as he whispered into her hair. "I will fix this. I promise." She closed her eyes. She wanted to believe him, and maybe she did. The next days became unbearable. Whispers in hallways, strange looks from coworkers, tight conversations behind closed doors. Until finally, Dr. Richards called her into the office again. "Elena," he said gently, "it's best if you take a leave of absence until the case is reviewed." He sank into the chair. "A leave? It's not a firing," he said. "But we need time to sort this out." She walked out numb. Outside the building, Theo stood waiting. "Are you all right?" he asked. Elena shook her head, tears threatening. "Take me to Aiden," she whispered. Theo nodded. Aiden wasn't at the warehouse. He was at a private estate on the edge of the city. When Elena arrived, he was standing on the balcony overlooking the river, tensely gripping the railing. When he turned and saw her red eyes, something broke in him. "Elena," he breathed, walking toward her. "I'm suspended," she whispered. "They want time to review everything." Aiden's expression turned dark, dangerous. "I'll fix it." "You can't fix this with your world's methods," she snapped. "This is my job, Aiden. My life's work. You can't threaten or pay off the hospital." He stopped. She could see the storm in his eyes. "Elena," he said quietly, "let me protect what matters to you." She wiped her tears. "What if it's already too late?" He stepped closer until their foreheads almost touched. "It's not," he whispered. "Not while I'm still breathing." His words, his voice, his warmth, they wrapped around her like a shield. And for the first time since everything began, Elena let herself truly lean into him. 2 nights later, everything changed. Aiden insisted that Elena stay close to him until the situation settled. She didn't argue. The unease in the air was thick, heavy, like the calm before a storm. He brought her to a secured estate deep in the hills, a place guarded by gates, cameras, and armed men. "Here you're safe," he told her. But she wasn't sure she believed it. Because Aiden himself wasn't safe. A rival syndicate had been testing boundaries for weeks. Luca's shooting wasn't random. It was a move in a larger, calculated war. And Elena could feel the tension building, tightening like a rope pulled from both ends. That evening, Aiden joined her in a warm, quiet room lit by a single lamp. He closed the door behind him and exhaled heavily. "Are you okay?" Lena asked. "No," he admitted. "But I will be." She stepped closer. "Talk to me." He ran a hand through his hair. "The men who shot Luca belong to the DeLuca syndicate. They want territory. They want control. And they think hitting me will give it to them." Elena's chest tightened. "And I'm caught in the middle." Aiden's eyes softened. "I regret that every second." "Aiden." A loud explosion shattered the air. The windows shook violently. The lights flickered. Elena screamed as the estate trembled. Aiden grabbed her instantly, pulling her against his chest. "Down!" he shouted. Before she understood what was happening, his men burst into the room, guns drawn. "Sir, the north side is hit. They breached the gate." Aiden cursed under his breath. "Elena, stay behind me." "What's happening?" she asked, trembling. "An attack," he said. "Stay close." Gunfire erupted outside. Loud, sharp, terrifying. Aiden pulled her through the hallway, his men forming a protective barrier around them. The estate smelled of smoke and burning wood. Aiden spoke into his earpiece. "Lock the south exit. Keep them away from the interior rooms." Lena's voice shook. "Aiden, are they here for you?" he said, not sugarcoating. "Yes." Her blood ran cold. This was her fault. Her presence. Her connection to Aiden. But there was no time to think. When they rounded the corner, a door burst open and a masked man charged inside with a knife. Lena froze. Didn't. He lunged forward, grabbing the attacker's wrist and slamming him into the wall. The knife clattered to the floor. The man tried to fight back, but Aiden's fist struck him hard across the jaw, dropping him instantly. "Aiden," one guard shouted. "We need to move. Now." Aiden grabbed Elena's hand and dragged her toward a reinforced room deeper in the estate. But then Elena saw something that made her heart stop. Another guard, Aiden's, was shot outside the window, falling to the ground. "Oh my God," she whispered. Aiden forced the door open to the safe room. "Elena, get inside." "No," she cried suddenly. "Someone's hit. He's bleeding." "Elena." But she was already running. "Elena!" Aiden roared, chasing her. She reached the fallen guard, a young man no older than 30, clutching his abdomen. "I'm a doctor," she said, dropping to her knees. The man's breath came in ragged gasps. "Ma'am, go, you're the target." "I'm not leaving you," she said firmly. "Press here." Aiden reached them seconds later. "Elena, you need to move." "No," she snapped. "He's dying." Gunfire cracked through the courtyard again. Aiden swore under his breath but knelt beside her, shielding her with his own body. "Marcus," he shouted. "Cover us." Marcus fired rapidly from the doorway, suppressing the attackers. Elena ripped open the guard's shirt. Blood was pouring from a deep wound. "His lung is collapsing," she said urgently. "Aiden, I need something sharp, a tube, anything." Aiden looked at her, saw the fire in her eyes, and immediately tore a pen apart, handing her the hollow casing. "This will work," she said. Under gunfire, under chaos, under the weight of life and death. Elena inserted the tube into the guard's chest, freeing the trapped air. The man gasped, breathing again. She tied the casing in place with cloth. "He'll live long enough to get real help," she said, breathless. Aiden stared at her, stunned, shaken, deeply moved. "Elena," he whispered, "you're unbelievable." She almost cried, but there was no time. "We have to go," Marcus yelled. Finally, Aiden pulled her toward the safe room. Once inside, the metal door locked with a heavy thud. Elena collapsed onto the floor, shaking violently. Aiden knelt beside her, pulling her into his arms. "It's over," he whispered. "You're safe." Elena clung to him, tears spilling down her cheeks. "Aiden, they would have killed us." "Yes," he said softly. "But I won't let anyone take you from me." He cupped her face. "I promise you," he said, voice low and fierce, "I will end this war." She looked into his eyes, wild, burning, determined. And she knew. Nothing in her life would ever be normal again. The attack on the estate changed everything. The morning after, Elena woke in the safe room with her head resting on Aiden's chest. His arm was wrapped around her protectively, his breathing slow, steady, but his expression, even in sleep, looked like a man carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders. When he opened his eyes, the first thing he did was check that she was still there. "Elena," he whispered, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "You made it." She gave a tired smile. "We both did." But the truth was, the attack left scars. Not physical, emotional. The kind you can't stitch shut. Aiden stayed by her side every hour afterward. When he wasn't with her, he was giving orders, gathering intel, tightening security, moving pieces she didn't understand. One afternoon, Elena found him in the estate's office, leaning over a map covered in red markers. "Aiden," she said softly. He didn't look up at first. He seemed somewhere far in his mind, where violence and strategy lived. When he finally lifted his gaze, his eyes softened immediately. "Elena," he said quietly, "you should be resting." "So should you." She walked closer. He closed the map. "I can't rest. Not until I know they'll never come near you again." Elena touched his arm. "You can't blame yourself for what happened." "Yes," he said. "I can. And I do." There was no arguing with him. Not when it came to her safety. Aiden reached out and held her hand, his thumb brushing her skin gently. "I need to show you something," he said. "Come with me." He led her outside into a sleek black car waiting at the gate. The ride was silent but not uncomfortable. Aiden kept glancing at her, checking if she was okay. When the car stopped, Elena recognized the place instantly. The cemetery. Her breath caught. "Aiden, why bring me here?" He stepped out first, offering his hand to her. "I need to talk to my father," he said quietly. "And you need to hear it." They walked through the grass together. Fog drifted between the stones, just like the first day she'd been here at dawn. Elena felt goosebumps rise as they reached Victor Hale's grave. Aidan stood still for a moment, staring at the headstone, his face unreadable. Then he spoke. "Dad, I don't know if you'd approve of my life now, or the decisions I've made." He swallowed. "But I know you'd want me to protect what matters." Aidan glanced at Elena. "And she matters." Her heart thudded painfully. His voice grew softer. "I thought I understood life before her. I thought I had everything under control. Then she showed up here, crying at your grave, whispering apologies that weren't hers to carry." He shook his head. "I didn't know her, but I knew one thing: she was good. Too good for my world." Elena's throat tightened, but she stayed silent. Aidan continued. "I tried to stay away. Tried. I told myself our lives were separate. But every week she kept showing up. Every week she carried the guilt of losing you. And every week I watched her, and felt something I couldn't explain." He turned fully to Elena now. "You were never the reason for my father's death," he said. "But you became the reason I started thinking differently about my life." Elena blinked back tears. "Aidan." He stepped closer, gently taking her hands. "I'm dangerous, Elena. I know that. I've done things you wouldn't approve of. Things I'm not proud of. But if I could choose one thing in my life to protect, one thing to keep clean, it's you." Her breath trembled. "Aidan, what are you saying?" He dropped onto one knee. Elena gasped, her hands flying to her mouth. Aidan pulled a small velvet box from his coat and opened it. Inside was a stunning ring, simple, elegant, with a single diamond that sparkled even in the gray dawn light. "Elena Ward," he said, voice low and steady, "you walked into my life with guilt in your eyes and kindness in your hands. You saw me as a man, not a monster." He took a shaky breath. "You saved my family. You saved me. And whether it's safe or not, I want you in my world. I want you with me." He looked up at her, eyes shining with vulnerability she rarely saw. "Will you marry me?" Tears spilled down Elena's cheeks. Her heart felt full, painfully full, like it might burst. She knelt in front of him, cupping his face. "Yes," she whispered. "Aidan, yes." His eyes closed in relief, and he leaned forward, kissing her with a kind of passion that felt like a promise. In the quiet cemetery, in front of the man whose death had brought them together, Elena said yes to the life she never expected. A life filled with danger, passion, darkness, and light intertwined. When they pulled apart, Aidan rested his forehead against hers. "We'll do this slowly," he said. "No rushing. No pressure. Just us." Elena nodded, smiling through her tears. Just us. They stood together before Victor's grave, hand in hand. Where guilt once lived, something entirely different was growing now. Oh, love. A future neither of them saw coming. The months that followed were a whirlwind of change, for both Elena and Aidan. Aidan's men intensified their watch. Anyone who even breathed wrong in Elena's direction was checked, investigated, or quietly persuaded to disappear. Aidan wasn't taking chances anymore. But Elena refused to hide. "I won't live in fear," she told him. And he respected that, even admired it. Her suspension from the hospital became permanent when the board decided they didn't like the unexplained missing supplies. But instead of collapsing, Elena surprised everyone, including herself. She accepted a position as medical director of a community clinic in a neglected part of the city. The clinic had been originally funded by charitable donations Victor Hale had made decades ago. Aidan attended the opening ceremony in a quiet, unannounced corner, watching Elena speak to patients and families with warmth and passion. "I think my father would have liked her," he murmured to Marcus. "She's good for you, boss," Marcus replied. "You're calmer with her." Aidan smirked. "Calmer? That's so." "Yeah," Marcus teased. "You don't threaten to kill as many people these days." Aidan chuckled under his breath. Elena flourished in her new role. She treated children, elderly folks, families with nowhere else to go. She built programs for mental health and emergency relief. She taught young nurses. She saved lives. And she did it all while navigating a double life. Doctor by day, fiancé to a criminal king by night. Some evenings, Aiden came to pick her up from the clinic. He would wait in the car until she finished, then walk her out, hand on her back protectively. "You work too hard," he often said. "So do you," she replied. One evening while closing up, a young mother hugged Elena tightly. "Thank you," she whispered. "No doctor ever treated us like real people before." Elena smiled warmly. "You're not just real people. You're my people." Aiden watched from a distance, his eyes softening. Later in the car he said, "You've changed that entire neighborhood." Elena looked at him. "We changed it." Aiden raised an eyebrow. "What did I do?" "You funded the clinic without taking credit. You protected it. You protected me." Aiden went silent for a moment. Then he took her hand and kissed it. "You're the best thing in my world," he whispered. Their wedding was small, intimate, held in a quiet church lit with candles and soft music. Only the people they trusted most attended. Elena wore a simple, elegant dress. Aiden wore a black suit tailored perfectly to his form. When she walked down the aisle, Aiden's breath caught audibly. "You're beautiful," he whispered when she reached him. "And you're nervous," she teased gently. He laughed under his breath. "Maybe a little." The ceremony was short but full of emotion. When Aiden slipped the ring onto her finger, his hands trembled slightly. "I choose you," he said. "In light and in darkness." Elena placed the ring on his finger. "I choose you too. In every world you walk." When they kissed, the entire room felt it, the force of two lives colliding, merging into something fierce and unbreakable. After the wedding, Aiden brought her to the top floor of a newly renovated building, a space overlooking the city lights. "This is yours," he said. "Ours." The penthouse was stunning, warm, modern, elegant. But Elena's favorite part was the balcony with a view of the whole city. Aiden wrapped his arms around her from behind. "You sure you want this life?" he asked softly. "Yes," she said. "As long as you're in it." He kissed her shoulder. "You're my weakness," he murmured. Elena turned in his arms. "No, Aiden. I'm your strength." He looked at her for a long moment, and she was right. He felt it. She didn't make him weaker. She made him better. She made him human. And together they built something new. A life between two worlds, a balance no one thought possible. The city whispered about the mysterious new power behind the Hale Syndicate, the quiet woman who changed the way Aiden ruled. Some feared her. Some respected her. Some called her the heart of the empire. In truth, Elena didn't want power. She wanted peace. And with Aiden she found both. In a world where love was rare and survival was everything. Every Sunday morning, they visited Victor Hale's grave together. Aiden would place fresh lilies on the headstone. Elena would whisper softly, "I hope we're making you proud." Aiden always squeezed her hand and said, "We are." And there, in the quiet cemetery where it all began, they built a promise. To protect each other. To fight for each other. To love each other fiercely, no matter the darkness around them. A new empire wasn't born in violence. It began at a grave, in guilt, in pain, in unexpected love. And it grew into something powerful, stronger than fear, stronger than war, stronger than fate itself. And that is where their world begins to change forever. If you want to see how deep this love, danger, and loyalty goes, then don't just scroll away. Hit like if the story pulled you in. Tap subscribe so you never miss the next chapter. And drop a comment below telling me which moment shocked you the most. I'm reading every single one. If you want the next twist, if you want to know what happens after this, you already know what to do. I'll see you in the next episode.